Tim Rohan, our resident Mike Berry coach, here to talk about business strategies. Hey, Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Haley. Thank you, Karush and Hadi. I don't know about not liking the word coach, since I am one, and the best of the best in any industry have a coach. I'm just saying. All right, so I want this to be a little bit more interactive. All right, who's willing to participate? Raise a hand. Anybody willing to participate with me today? No? Okay, Cal's watching the train go by. All right, the more we participate, the more we're going to get out of it, okay? So who can tell me the difference between those doing a lot of business right now and those who are struggling? Anybody can unmute yourselves as long as you're not doing dishes and want to participate. Anybody have any suggestions?
The people that are actually working.
The people that are actually working. That is true. That is true. Okay, so let me offer a little bit different twist on it. Mindset. Your mindset is the difference between the people that are doing business and that are not doing business. Write this down. The market is always as good as you think it is. The market is always as good as you believe it is. Okay, so by a show of hands, how many people work on their mindset daily? Most? Some? Okay, good. All right, I appreciate that. All right, that's critical right now. How many, also by a show of hands, know how to work on their mindset, know how to adjust their mindset? Yes? Okay. All right, good. Are we and the public being bombarded right now with negativity about the current real estate market? Yes. Right? Yeah. So we don't have to do anything to have a negative mindset because we get bombarded with it all day, every day. So in the absence of us taking corrective action, we're probably going to default to that believe what we're hearing. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So we have to consciously put in the positive, put in what we believe to be true. If we believe it's a good time to sell a home, we're going to have a better chance of taking a listing. If we believe it's a good time to buy a home, we're going to have a better chance of selling a buyer. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, so is what we're being told, is it true? Is it true? Well, I guess it depends. Let's take a look at it. Factually, it's true. But if you notice, there's very little context in what they tell us, right? So I read an article just yesterday, the worst time in over a generation to buy. The worst time in over a generation to buy. My head almost exploded. So I had said, I got to see why they're saying that. Here was the research to back it up. 4 of 5 people thinking of buying a home said it's not a good time to buy. That's it. 4 out of people that were thinking about it said it's not a good time. Not pre-approved buyers that were trying to buy, no. So that was enough for them to say worst time in a generation to buy. If you heard inventories increased 42.1%, would you think that's a good thing or a bad thing if you don't know any better? Right? If you're a seller, I have 42% more competition. It's probably not a good time to sell. But yet the point of reference is we've soared all the way from a 3-week supply of homes for sale to a 1.8 supply of homes for sale. Does anybody know what a neutral market is? A normal market, meaning not a buyer's market, not a seller's market. Does anybody know what that number is in terms of supply? Excuse me?
6 months.
6 months, absolutely. So we've soared 42% all the way to 1.8 months. So we're not even close to a neutral market, much less a buyer's market. Okay, so how about closed sales down 30%? Right, that is true, right? That is the biggest metric. The number of sales are down, mostly because of what we're being bombarded with, right? Why it's not a good time to do anything. Right. But again, that's compared to last year, which was, for those people that are at the coast, it was kind of like a hurricane hitting at high tide. right? It was full panic, right? In terms of having to buy, low interest rate, right? With the least amount of inventory we've ever had in history, right? So that was an aberration. So we're getting back down to normal numbers. Interest rates are the highest in 20 years. Again, that is true, right? Karush mentioned the rate increase was, highest in 50 years, right? For the 1 year. So all that sounds bad unless we put it in context, right? So there's absolutely no reason for a motivated, and again, the key word is motivated, buyer or seller not to act right now. Does everybody believe that? Does everybody believe it's a great time to buy and a great time to sell? Okay, so let's take a look at it. We are in the sales business. Would everyone agree? If everyone does not agree we're in the sales business, raise your hand. Okay, good. So we all agree we're salespeople. If you're ever not sure, ask the people that are signing a contract with you who they think they're hiring. Are they hiring a realtor, or are they hiring somebody that's going to be a kick-butt salesperson to represent them? They're looking for a salesperson every time. Okay, someone is always selling someone in almost every conversation with our kids, with Hadi, with our clients, right? We have to negotiate for our clients, but we also have to negotiate with our clients. All right. So who wants proof that right now is the best time to act? Does anybody want some information to help with their mindset? Okay, good. So just type into the chat if you work primarily with sellers, buyers, or both. Buyers, sellers, or both.
Hey,
Okay,
Keith, by the way,
both.
when I said no, I don't like the word coach. I don't like the word recruiter just as bad. So I think you got to come up with a better name than coach.
All right, don't tell John that.
Yeah, we don't call him a recruiter anymore.
All right. Okay, good. So let's look at both buyers and sellers. All right. So I just wanted to add another stat. Karush had mentioned that our competition is leaving. I did read an informative article the other day. This was from Las Vegas just a couple of weeks ago to give you a point of reference in terms of how many people are getting out of the business. In Las Vegas, Nevada, they were processing 300 new agents every month for the last 24 months. Currently, they're processing 120 a month. So about a third of the number are coming into the business. But in addition to that, they're also processing 30 cancellations a day. 30 a day. So that means 120 coming in, 900 going out a month. So just to let you know, when they say our competition is not working, well, they are working. It's just at McDonald's instead of selling real estate. Okay, so our competition is a lot less. All right, so let's look at buyers first then, since most people work both. Let's look at buyers, why it's a good time to buy right now. First of all, we can still squeeze a couple in and get paid for 2022. Who would like to have maybe another deal before 2022? Yeah, I needed one more, so I went out and found one, right? So who has buyers that are on the sidelines waiting for interest rates and home prices to come down? Anybody? Okay, so we saw home prices are down. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. All right, so let's talk about a couple of tips on how to convert some of those buyers. Are home prices up or down over this time last year? Over this time last year. Okay, over this time last year for the Charlotte market and almost every market, we're up 13%. Based on what's out there, do sellers think their home is worth more than it was a year ago or less? Less, but it's actually up 13.3% year over year over last year, which is similar to what I said in July, that will probably end up around 10% appreciation for the year. Problem is we were up 20% in April. So have values come down since the spring? Yeah, and they're going to continue to come down a little bit between now and the end of the year. But if you compare it to last year, we're still up 13%. Sellers have no idea. Okay. So it is a great time to put your home on the market. As a matter of fact, you can get right now 13% more than you could have got at this same time last year. Okay. So, but for buyers, right, if interest rates were 4.5%, would you buy now? How many people would say yes? Yes, 4.5? Yeah. Well, get in the car, right? Because we can find a seller that will get you a 2-1 buy, that will pay for you to have a 2-1 buy down right now, right? Are buyers willing to negotiate a little bit more? Sellers willing to negotiate a little bit more? Yes, almost every time, right? So it boggles my mind on how this could be a worse time to buy a home than 18 months ago when we were having to go in at 10 and 15% over asking, saying a prayer that we would get it, having to sign a form saying that we knew we were way overpaying and there was no chance it was going to appraise, and we're okay with it. And we won't ask you to fix anything, and we'll pay the difference if it doesn't appraise. How is this market worse for a buyer than that market? It makes absolutely no sense. All right. So what is a 2-1 buy down, and what does that look like? All right. So this also is a buyer seller thing. How many have sellers that are listed currently that don't want to reduce their price anymore? Anybody have a seller that doesn't want to come down any more than where they are now? Okay. All right. So we can use this for sellers and we can use this for buyers. If we have a seller that is listed at $500,000 and it's not selling, we're getting people through, but no offers. That means it's 5% overpriced. A lot of people coming through, no offers, 5% overpriced. So I'm going to ask my seller for a $25,000 price reduction. They're going to be hesitant. No, I want to stay firm at 500. Okay. The rest is a story for another day. Okay. So if I could get you 500, would you be willing to pay a few closing costs for the buyer? Well, yeah, if you get me 500, I'll do that, right? They have the mental win of still getting their price. So now let's look at that same scenario from the buyer's standpoint. Okay. So let's look at that same example. A home that's listed for $500,000. Okay. Sellers got two options: either pay for a 2-1 buy down for the buyer, or pay $475 or reduce it to $475. If the buyer got the price at $475,000 at a 6.5% interest rate, right, their payment would be $142 a month less than that same house at $500,000. So by the $25,000 price reduction, the seller's out $25,000, but the buyer makes $142 a month. Yay! Okay, now let's look at the $500,000 price point with a 2-1 buy down. Okay, so the first year is going to be 4.5. The second year is going to be 5.5. The third and every year after that is going to be 6.5. They still have to qualify for the 6.5, but even at $500,000 with a 2-1 buy down for the first year, they're going to be saving $422 a month. $422 a month at $500,000, as opposed to waiting for the price to come down to $475 and saving $142. It doesn't even make sense, right? So why would a buyer go ahead and do a 2-1 buy down? Because that's only temporary. Okay, let me tell you what's getting ready to happen. A buyer that buys now has very little competition, or a lot less. Would we agree with that? Show of hands, would we agree? Buyer has less competition? Okay, fantastic. So we're going to get some concessions from the seller more than likely. Okay, so we're going to buy now. And what happens either middle of next year, at the very latest, early 2024, when they have to stimulate us out of the recession? The only way to do that is what? Reduce interest rates. So when they reduce the interest rates, how many buyers are going to come flooding back into the market? A lot or a little bit? A lot. A tremendous number. Okay. And can I tell you the problem that they're going to have? There's nothing for them to buy. Again, 1.8 month supply of homes for sale. Neutral market is a 6-month supply. So there's nothing for them to buy. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, the fact that you're acting today while you're sipping tea, watching these people fight over your neighbor's house in the spring, you can just sit back and chuckle and wave to them and thank them for putting money in your pocket in the form of equity. Because when they're fighting over properties again, what does that do to prices? They go up. So is it a perfect time for a buyer to buy right now? Yeah, absolutely. So check with Matt or whoever your executive lending and have them talk you through this. It usually costs a seller about 2 points, 2% of the loan amount to get that 2-1 buy down. It's a fantastic option, and I recommend everybody do that for buyers and or sellers. All right, so let's get a minute on sellers, right? Who has sellers that want to wait until the market improves? I want to wait for the market to improve before I get out there, or I want to wait till after the holidays. Are we starting to hear that? Oh, I want to wait till after the holidays. Yes, we're going to start hearing a lot more of that if you're talking to prospective sellers. And again, when I talk about a seller, let's make the assumption that they are motivated to sell their home. They're not selling out of greed, right? Well, I'll sell it if I could get $1.2 million. Well, it's worth $950, right? So those sellers, let's take them out of the equation. These are people that want to sell their home. Okay, so if a seller says, you know, I want to wait till after the holidays, I hear it's not a good time. You know what? I understand. And on the surface, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that makes sense. We've actually identified 11 reasons why right now is the best time of year to sell your home. When can we meet? And let me share that with you. Would today at 4 or tomorrow at 2 be better for you? Close for the appointment. Always finish up with a question. Okay? Right? Most sellers are also what? They're going to sell, then they're going to, I can read Jonathan's lips. Yes, most sellers are also buyers. So rewind the tape about 5 minutes ago. What's the problem that buyers are going to have here in a little bit? We're going to be back like it was 18 months ago. Interest rates are down. We got to act now. Oh, crap, there's nothing to buy. Let's take a swing at that one. Let's go over asking. Let's waive the appraisal contingency. Let's do an appraisal gap. Let's take it as is. How many people had sellers over the last 18 months that wanted to sell, but they couldn't find anything to buy? Yeah, they're going to be in that same boat again, right? Unless they act now. If they act now, they're going to have 43% more to choose from. Okay, does it make sense? Is now a good time for sellers to sell? Yes? Okay, all right, agreed. All right, fantastic. So the bottom line is, you know, who thinks that I believe this is happening? Does anybody doubt that I believe it? Right? We have a choice, right, on what we choose to believe. And when we do believe something, we speak with conviction, right? And when you speak with conviction, people buy in, right? People want to be led. There's a lot of buyers, there's a lot of sellers out there that are scared and say, I have no idea what's going on. All I hear is it's not a good time to sell. It's not a good time to buy, right? Be the one that leads them through this process, all right? Who has their business plan completed for 2023? Anybody? 1, 2. Okay, 2023 started about 30 days ago, just so you know. For those that work both, right? A listing that we take today, we're going to get paid for probably in February or January. All right, so 2023 is already started. Who knows what on track for their goal looks like on January 1st? Who knows what on track looks like? Okay, so Hadi gave the goal of 36 transactions. Well, if your goal is 36 closed deals, on track for that on January 1 means you have 3 pending that are going to close in January. And in this market, you probably need 9 or 10 listings if you're going to be predominantly seller oriented. That's what on track for 36 close looks like on January 1. The bigger your goal, if we start on January 1 with one listing and no pendings, we're screwed already, right? So let's get busy with that and ask. There's plenty of people in the office to help you with that, okay? So let's go to work, right? Nobody else is doing it. So this is our opportunity right now, right? So I wrote this down. I got this from Mike Ferry the other day. He said, right now is a great time to be in real estate if you're excited about real estate. It's a bad time to be in real estate if you're not excited about real estate. Okay, so what is your mindset? Am I in survival mode, just trying to get through this? Or am I in thrive mode, right? This is our opportunity. When everybody else is getting out, this is when we double down on our efforts. This is our time. We're RE/MAX by God executive, right? We're the best of the best. Let's get out there and lead some of these people that need our help, okay? All right, that's all I've got. Peace out.
Thank you so much, Tim. There was one question in the chat for you from Michael. Is the best way to transfer the funds from the seller to the buyer for a 2-to-1 buy down is through the seller to pay for the closing cost of the buyer?
Paid the closing cost to the buyer. Well, it's not an upfront charge for it, right? It's actually held in an escrow. So the lender can talk you through that. We don't need to get involved into the mechanics. Just get a good lender, RE/MAX, the executive lending, just get a good lender and a good attorney. They'll talk you through it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for joining us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.